Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Awakening Heart Community of Mindful Living here at the Dallas Meditation Center. So glad you could join us on this second Sunday of 2021. How's your 2021 going? We'd love to hear. Feel free to check in the chat window, and we'll read some of those a little bit later on. Um, so. So sit back, and if you found us for the first time on YouTube, either live or sometime find it in the archives, welcome. And just know that our practice is very easy to follow along, and just really follow your breath. You don't need to set any big expectations or anything. Just be with what is and enjoy this time. So we'll start with 3 sounds of the bell.
Hi, everyone. Please join me in the opening affirmation. Noble community, we gather here now to honor the way of peace and nonviolence, the way of wisdom and compassion, the way of joy and beauty, in solidarity with one another, with all humanity, and with all life on earth. Friends on the path, we gather here now to deepen our solidity like a mountain and to renew our freshness like a flower. Through mindful sitting and walking, mindful singing and breathing, and mindful speaking and listening. Family of awakening, we gather here now to celebrate the one infinite light that shines through many religions and many cultures, to cultivate the wisdom of our many teachers, both ancestral and contemporary, and to affirm the capacity within ourselves and all persons of every race, gender, orientation, and tradition to realize full and complete enlightenment.
Well, I'd like to say hello to all of those who have checked in on YouTube. Hello to James. Hello, Catherine, bowing in, grateful to be here. Nick L, bowing in with gratitude. Jeffrey, hey, been a long time since we've seen you. Hello, everyone. It has been over a year ago since I joined you. I'm glad to be back. Glad to have you back, Jeffrey. Stephanie bowing in, grateful to be here and for a beautiful, peaceful and snowy day. Alex says bowing in, glad to be here with you all. Luis bowing in. Thank you all. So thank you, and feel free to continue checking in. A little bit later, we will move over to Zoom after the talk for any of you who would like to participate in Q&A or sharing and discussion, and that link will be in the chat window a little bit later on. So let's welcome Bobby.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you and to be with you from my house. I wanted to say a few words about the meditation that we'll do in just a few minutes, because it's a little bit different and it kind of sets the tone for the talk that comes after the meditation. So last week we used the burning bowl ceremony to release something we wanted to not bring with us into this new year, and also to invite something we wanted to nurture, something we wanted to bring in to this new year. You know, traditionally, the start of the new year is all about making New Year's resolutions. But as we all know, resolutions are notoriously hard to keep. So I'm taking a cue from our Dharma teacher, Terry Cortez Vega, who offered an alternative that I think is beautiful and will support us throughout the year and even beyond that. She invites us to get in touch with our most deeply held values and see how we might train ourselves to use those values as a guide for 2021 and beyond. So please enjoy this meditation that will help you identify your personal North Star, your personal guiding light that you always have within yourself.
Okay, dear ones, brothers, sisters, Thai, just welcoming you to this meditation now, and beginning just with finding a relaxed, upright posture, finding that sweet spot of balance with your legs underneath you, or if you're sitting in a chair with your feet on the ground. And begin to bring in that balance between at ease and alert. Begin to relax into a light awareness of body and breath. And there's nothing to do but enjoy your breathing. Being here right now is enough. And there's nothing else to do. Now bring to your mind some qualities that you value, and when you're at your best, you're good at. And don't be shy here. Maybe you think something like, when I'm at my best, I'm confident. I believe in myself. Or, I really value kindness, and I usually find it easy to be kind. Or, I like it when I'm being in touch with my strengths and accepting of my shortcomings. Or, I feel good when I'm generous. Get in touch with a few of the qualities that you have that you really value. The values that guide you in your very best moments. Okay, now you can begin to narrow the list. Which is the one value that's most important to you, that at least today you hold most dear? The quality you picked is your personal North Star. It's a value that you have at some level, though you may want to tweak it a bit tonight, and as you work with it, it's one that you would like to lead you through your life. Let your value really sink in. Let it rest in your body and your mind. Begin to have a felt sense of it in your body. Notice it, how it feels in your body, and stay connected to this quality. Feel the energy of this value that you hold. Feel it in your body, that felt sense. You don't have to work too hard. Just let it be there. Just observing it. You may even find that you smile a moment, thinking about this quality within yourself. Enjoy that feeling. Now let's just take a little break from this reflection for a moment and just be, just rest. Enjoy just letting go of any places you may be holding on, just releasing the tension a little bit more, relaxing. And now, think of someone who manifests your North Star value. Maybe it's a friend, your grandma, a teacher, or maybe it's someone you don't know personally but know of, such as Tay or Thich Nhat Hanh, Jesus, maybe Martin Luther King or Gandhi, Mother Teresa, someone who is a role model for your value. See if you can recall a situation in as much detail as you can that you saw or read about where that person exhibited your North Star value. See if you can put as much detail in that as you can. Now see if you can remember one of your recent situations in which you were not at your best. Not a big deal, just a situation that didn't go exactly as you would have liked. Now see if you can reimagine that situation happening again, but this time, picture yourself using your North Star value. Do you feel differently about the situation? Is there a different outcome? Now think of one thing that you're going to do in the next 24 hours. What's one thing you're going to do in the next day? Bring that to mind. Imagine bringing your North Star value to mind as you engage in that situation. See yourself keeping your awareness of your North Star value forefront in your mind as you do your activity. See if you can imagine that now. Now begin to drop any effort to meditate and just be. Rest in open, spacious awareness. Resting, spacious.
Thank you for that meditation, Jennifer. So let's continue with our refuge chant. We will recite, or I'll recite, and if you know it, you can say it along. The three jewels of our practice: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha is that Buddha nature. I think of it as that taking refuge in the knowledge that I have it within myself to become aware that I can live in peace and that I can be content. The Dharma is our teaching, or the words that we use. The Sangha being our community that practices together, us here online. So if you know it, you can say it along with me. We take refuge in the Buddha, the awakening heart of infinite light, that which shows us the way in this life. We take refuge in the Dharma, the awakening path of infinite light, the way of understanding and of love. We take refuge in the Sangha, the awakening community of infinite light, those who live in harmony and awareness. So tonight, Bobby will lead us with a talk, and just a reminder that afterwards we will join up in Zoom for those of us who want to share and discuss and maybe have some questions for Bobby. But thank you for joining us from home tonight, Bobby.
Thank you. I'm happy to be doing this. I think most of us expected that the weather would be much worse than it was. And I'm a little bit under the weather, so this is perfect to work from home. I hope that you were able to identify some value that you might take to be your personal North Star. But don't be too discouraged if you weren't able to actually do that tonight. You have now the template. You have now a way to find that quality within yourself that you value. And I think probably over time, what I expect is that that quality will change a little. At least I'm thinking that that is true for myself. So we've probably all heard that familiar phrase, be the change you want to see in the world, or just be the change. It's often attributed to Gandhi. And the story goes that an anonymous mother, and very anxious, asked Gandhi to tell her son to stop eating sweets. So really, I admire this woman for even asking anybody to ask her child to stop eating sweets. But anyway, she took him to Gandhi and told him that she wanted Gandhi to tell her child to stop eating sweets. So Gandhi listened, and then he said, "Come back in 2 weeks." Well, she did that. She came back in 2 weeks. And when she got back, Gandhi said to the boy, "Stop eating sweets." Well, the woman was confused, as you might expect. And she said, "Why didn't you just tell him that the first time?" "Because," Gandhi said, "I myself was still eating sweets at that time, and we must be the change we want to see in the world." So it's a really good story, very inspiring and motivating, but unfortunately, it is totally made up. I bet you've seen, as I have, t-shirts, posters, bumper stickers, magnets, all kinds of things that say "Be the change." You may have even owned something that said "Be the change." Well, it's not a bad message. And I think it still represents or resonates with people because we like the encouragement it offers us to create some purpose in our lives. Scientists tell us that having a strong sense of meaning and purpose in our lives is the single most important factor in predicting psychological and physical well-being. They tell us that people with a strong sense of purpose live longer, recover from stress more quickly, and are happier. I know we have several psychologists in our Sangha, and I bet every one of them could confirm that they notice this also in their practice. I know from my own experience that I experience less stress and anxiety when I feel like what I'm doing or what I'm thinking about is purposeful or meaningful. I also know from my own experience that life becomes more stressful when my actions are not intentional, when I haven't thought about the purpose of my action. Of course, being intentional, being purposeful, leads to mindfulness. In fact, John Kabat-Zinn built a whole business on it, mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's a good example, one example of training in how to live with purpose and all the benefits that are derived from living in that way. So our mind and our body work their best when we feel a sense of purpose. And the good news is that we can train ourselves to cultivate meaning and purpose in our lives based on our core values. And there are 3 steps to being able to do that. The first step is pause. Make a habit of pausing throughout the day. If you've ever attended a retreat at Magnolia Grove or Plum Village, you will know that periodically a bell will sound and everyone stops whatever they're doing. Just pause and breathe for 1 or 2 breaths and then resume whatever you're doing. It's a really good practice for us to incorporate in our own lives. And there are many ways that we can do that. Thich tells us that transitions are a good time for this. Like when you walk out your door, when you open the car door, when you sit in the car ready to turn the motor on. All of these tiny spaces are a good place to pause and just kind of get back into your thought. What am I doing? What am I about to do? And then you can also pause before you send an email. In fact, that is a good thing to do. You may decide you don't actually need to send that email, or maybe you'd prefer to talk to somebody, whatever it is. But a pause before you send an email is a good thing. You can also pause before you answer the phone. You know, even if you don't get to the phone before it goes to voicemail, you can always listen to the message later. So pausing before you answer and maybe being able to answer with a smile will make a difference. Anytime there is a pause in the day, it gives you an opportunity to take a mindful breath and bring yourself back into the present moment. Taking a mindful breath is easy to do. The hard part is remembering to do it. So you might write some Post-it notes, like stick a Post-it note on your mirror in the bathroom or in your bedroom, reminding you to pause before you wash your hands, or pause and actually look at yourself and smile, just bringing yourself back into the present moment. Some people program their computers or their phone to ring a bell periodically. And there are lots of apps for that. There is an app on the Plum Village website. This is a cautionary tale from me. I tried that. I planned a bell to ring every 15 minutes on my computer. And what I noticed initially was it was just annoying. And so I programmed it for 30 minutes. And that was better. But what I also discovered is that not too long after a few of those bells, I had already learned to ignore it. So I have to find other ways to be mindful. and to remind me to come back into the present moment, to pause. One thing that works for me, you may notice behind me is my altar with the Buddha. And so whenever when I'm working on my computer, I can see that most of the time. And that is a great reminder to me to pause. So you kind of have to find your own, whatever works for you. If the bell that chimes periodically, however you set it, if that works, that's wonderful, that's beautiful. But if it doesn't work, then it's counterproductive. So find the pause, the reminder that works for you. So each of us needs to find some way, and maybe some ways, to remember our most cherished values so that we don't just get lost in the busyness of our daily life. So step one, pause and take a breath. The second step is using your core values shift your perspective. You might say to yourself something like, life is fragile, everything is impermanent. At some time, I may not be able to walk to my car comfortably. So today, I'm really going to enjoy it. Or this might be the last time I write an email to this person. I'm going to be as kind as I can. Or a lot of work went into this food. I'm going to eat it as if it were my last meal. Using the 5 contemplations before eating are also a very good reminder to pause, to take time to reflect on and be grateful for the food you're about to eat. Simple thoughts like those that are based on your core values can dramatically shift your attitude. Thich offers this poem as a way to shift your perspective about your whole day. And some of you know this little gata. He says, waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live them in mindfulness. I vow to greet each being with the eyes of compassion. One of my favorite quotes is from Maya Angelou. She said, this is a wonderful day. I've never seen this one before. Sometimes I think of it minute by minute. This is a wonderful moment. I've never seen this one before. It's really adaptable to all kinds of situations. A really wonderful reminder that each moment is an opportunity to begin again. It's like recognizing that each breath is complete within itself, and there's a new breath right after it. Being grateful for each breath is wonderful. It's a really good thing to do. And you might even consider all of the people that are struggling with COVID and not able to breathe very well. And the fact that you can breathe without any impediment is really a blessing. So taking a moment to enjoy each breath, to enjoy your day, to enjoy the people that you're with. So that's one way to change your perspective. Maybe you have a favorite quote or saying that can help you shift your perspective. So step one is cultivating meaning and purpose in your life by taking a pause and taking a mindful breath. Step two is shift your perspective. Step three is take action. It's not enough to think about being grateful for kind. We need to actually put our values into action. It doesn't have to be a big action or even something that other people notice. For example, you might simply ask about a friend's family. How are they doing? Is everybody well? Or smile to a stranger, even if you have your mask on. Your eyes will show the smile. Just throughout the day, find some very simple ways to put your values into practice. Your North Star value and some of your other values: kindness, compassion, understanding, generosity, gratitude, deep listening, patience. The 5 mindfulness trainings that Thich Nhat Hanh has so wonderfully laid out for us are excellent examples of values that we can aspire to, that we can practice every single day. So the 3 steps are: first, pause, take a mindful breath. Second, shift your perspective. And last, act. We can't fully control how our lives work out, but one thing we can do is stay true to our deepest values. That's what gives us purpose in our lives. I have to admit to you that I had a little bit of trouble coming up with what I would consider to be my most valuable asset right now, or my most valuable quality, the value that I like the most, that I cherish the most. And so it took a while for me to think about that and to contemplate. And so what I finally settled on was the value, my North Star value, at least for now, is joyful service. I always enjoy helping people. I like to be of service. And I know from my own experience that when I am being of service to somebody, it's always better if I can do it joyfully. I feel better. Whatever I'm offering is received better. The other person or persons feel better. It's just better all the way around. So I've decided that that will be my North Star guiding principle, at least for now. I know it's possible to do this. I know it's possible to offer joyful service to others because I've seen it in Thai. I've seen it in Sister D, one of the nuns that I've met at Magnolia Grove. In fact, she was the one that organized all of us who were being ordained in the year that I was ordained, which was 2017. So she was the nun that helped us understand what the ritual was going to look like and what we should do and how we should behave and why to do it that way. And she always had this beautiful smile on her face. And she was so patient with all of us. It was obvious that she really enjoyed what she was doing. And as a result, we enjoyed it too. She's a great example of joyful service. You might even like to see, she has several Dharma talks on YouTube, and you can find her just listed as Sister D. So she's a really good example. My mother is a good example of joyful service. Even in her advanced age and unable to do a lot of things she used to do, she still enjoys being helpful around the house. She's always wanting to do something to be of service, and it gives her life meaning and purpose. I also know several friends, and some are in this community, who offer service to others joyfully and really without much thought of return. That is to say, you know, it's nice when you get a vote of confidence or somebody says they appreciate what you've done, but that's not expected. And that's a part of what I consider to be joyful service. It's a little bit like unconditional love, offering something, not expecting anything in return, just doing it because it brings you joy. So I know that I have that quality in me. I know that I've experienced it before. And so I want to embrace it more and nurture it during this year. Each of the people I mentioned have found ways to act from that inner place of joy while serving as a source of inspiration. So when I'm feeling overwhelmed or upset or impatient, my aspiration is to acknowledge the joy of life that is always present, to shift my perspective and remember my North Star, to gain inspiration and encouragement from the examples of others, and to aspire to manifest the truth that Tagore wrote when he said, "I slept and dreamed that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy." I slept and dreamed that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy. That's my inspiration. What's yours? I'd love to hear if you want to share. And we will do that now. Look for the Zoom link in the chat box and join us there to talk about this idea of a personal North Star and your ideas about how you might incorporate that into your life. Thank you, dear friends.
Thank you, Bobby, for that. And yes, Bobby said the Zoom link is in the chat window in the chat box, and we'll be signing off of YouTube here in a second. If you're already on Zoom, stay here. But I'll give 2 sounds of the bell, and then Hanh will read our closing affirmation. We're welcome to say it along with her if we know it.
Countless beings we vow to free, ceaseless afflictions we vow to end, limitless truth doors we vow to open, the deepest paths of awakening we vow to realize. Namitawa.
So thank you, everyone. And like I said, if you're already on Zoom, hang here, and I'll say goodbye to those of you on YouTube now.